All right. Hope you guys are doing good. This is week 2, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes and just go over with you what we're doing in week 2, what the expectations are, and also address just some of the concerns that you guys had in week 1. All right. So if you look here, again on Classroom, we've got um, all of our work. So in classwork, you guys are going to see in virtual school week 2, April 27th through May 1st, you're going to see 4 different items. And I'm going to really quickly go over with you what those 4 items are, what they do, and how they're all going to help you. Okay, so if you look at the first one is learning targets. So I posted this time the learning targets on a Google Slides. So if you open that up,
I don't understand.
you can check this out. All right, so we got week 2 learning targets. So if you look, learning targets, we got 3 of them. The first one, I can identify a central idea or theme in the Passionate Shepherd, similar to last week's work. Number 2, I can identify the time and place Marlowe evokes in the poem by analyzing Marlowe's word choice, meaning, and tone. And then number 3, I can examine how the time and place Marlowe evokes further develops the central idea or theme. So this is what we got. This is what you guys are going to be working on this week. This is our focus. Okay. So our focus is more on analyzing the poem, where last week you guys spent a lot of time just acquainting yourself with Marlowe's text, acquainting yourself with annotation in a digital format, things like that. So now we're going to take that information that you guys gleaned from your annotations from the typecast, and you're going to apply it to a more formal analysis, the type of which you'd be more accustomed to in class. So these 3 learning targets are going to help you with that. Right here, I included for you guys correlations to standards. So I didn't bore you guys by posting all the standards on here, but you'll notice on your Quick Write rubric that the standards are part of the Quick Write rubric. And so I have here what the correlations are. So learning target 1 correlates to RL 910.2. Learning target 2 is 0.4. Learning target 3 is 0.5. So when you look at your rubric under your Quick Write, you'll see that there are multiple criteria, and all of them are a different standard. So this is what they relate to as far as our learning targets. So I just want you guys to take some time, look over that, read it. Make sure you understand what the expectations are as far as the learning targets go. So that's the first thing. All right, the second thing was we got 2 assignments this week. All right, now last week you guys technically had 2 assignments, but I had put both assignments under the same posting with multiple files, and that seemed to confuse a lot of people, and so I split them up, and from now on we'll only do 1 file per assignment posting. So if you look at assignment 2, the Passionate Shepherd analysis, again, this is due on Friday, May 1st by 11:59. If you open that up, this is what it looks like. Never it decides to open. Hope you guys are having a good week so far while we wait. There we go. All right, so when you open it, this is what you're going to see. I need you guys to do this assignment first, all right? I know that you might want to just get the Quick Write done and out of the way, but do not do the Quick Write first. You need this information here in order to do that. So week 1, you guys did your annotations, your typecast. You got a main idea out of it. And this assignment is going to help you to develop that and to look at some more of the pastoral qualities that Marlowe has in this poem. We'll go over some more of that during the Zoom class as far as like the elements of pastoral poetry and how Marlowe's poem shows those. So we'll go over that. But for now, I just want to go over just what the instructions are. So part 1, this is the first half of the poem. We just got a couple questions about whose point of view the poems from, what are the pleasures that Marlowe talks about, things like that. So complete those, complete sentences, please. It doesn't have to be super long. If you look here, we have an example. It's a complete sentence and it includes a quote. You want to make sure you include quotes in each of these so that I know that you know what you're talking about. Part 2 here, read this. This talks about some of those pleasures and how they relate to imagery. And you guys are going to use that information in your poem in order to find more examples of pleasures that Marlowe talks about. So throughout the poem, throughout the second half especially, Marlowe talks a lot about pleasures, and those pleasures are going to be examples of imagery. If you look lines 9 through 10, the first pleasure he talks about is a bed. And he says that the bed are made from roses and fragrant posies. Posies is just another type of flower. You want to go through and do that. You want to identify in each line what the pleasure is in this column, and then tell me what that pleasure is made out of in this column. Why are we doing this? I want you to really focus on the fact that Marlowe's talking a lot about nature, okay? And these questions down here are going to ask you to talk about that in more detail. So again, answer those questions, complete sentences, give me a quote from the poem. And when you're done with that, you just turn that in. So this here is designed to really get you thinking analytically about the poem, about the choices Marlowe makes, why he makes them, why he shows all of that nature. After that, we got assignment 3. So you're going to click on that. Again, this is due on Friday, May 1st. So everything's due Fridays. You just do them at your own pace. Okay. So whatever pace works for you. I know some people like to just knock it out. That's fine. Some people like to spread things out a bit more. That's fine too, as long as it gets done. All right. All right. So this assignment has a rubric attached. So this is how I'm going to grade you. Oh, by the way, assignment 2, the grading is just completion and effort. Okay. Assignment 3, we have our rubric. If you click on that, I want you all to click on that. I want you all to read it. The rubric goes over 4 criteria. 3 of them are those standards I talked about, point 2, point 4, and point 5. Read those. But again, they're related to your learning target. So as long as you understand what the learning target's saying, you're fine. If you don't understand what the learning target's saying, during our Zoom class tomorrow, please bring that up. Please tell me so that we can go over it. I also added on here a writing standard. So when you write your quick write, I need you to use precise language and domain-specific vocabulary to manage the complexity of the topic. Now, domain-specific vocabulary, what is that? That is vocabulary that's related to English class. Words like imagery. If you're talking about a poem, stanza, speaker, rhyme scheme, things like that. And we're going to go over some of those terms again during the Zoom class tomorrow. But make sure you're using your terms that are related to English class, that help you to analyze this poem, so that you can better write. Quick note on the rubric, because I had a couple questions the last time. So the rubrics, they go from 0 to 4. But I want you to keep in mind the way that this is going to be graded. And again, I'll go over this more tomorrow, and I'll post something about it. But the way I'm grading, if you get zeros, a 0 is a 50%. It's not a 0. Okay, so 0 is a 50. A 1 is a 60. 2 is a 75. 3 is a 90. 4 is a 100. So I'm going to give you a score on each of these criteria. I'm going to average them, and whatever the average is going to be what you get. Okay, so again, I'll post the scales so that you guys are aware. But that's the rubric. The assignment itself, pretty straightforward. Okay, I give you guys a lot of exposition here, just kind of explaining what the expectations are. Please read this section, okay? One of the issues from the typecasts was that sometimes the typecasts weren't detailed enough, and it was very obvious that you guys were probably doing this some of you were probably doing this on your phone. And that really shows, okay? A lot of you wrote too concisely, and just wasn't detailed enough. So a couple expectations here. The one I want to talk about especially is length. Okay, now you guys know I don't really have like a sentence requirement, but I will say that if you have less than 10 on this, there's a very strong chance that you don't have enough detail. And if you don't have enough detail, then you're going to get a poor grade. Okay, so don't be too hung up on counting sentences, but I can say if you have under 10, you're probably not going into enough depth. As far as evidence, 2 pieces of evidence. I would prefer 3. If you guys have those of you who have IEPs, just do what you would normally do. But yeah, so just read through this. But after that, I give you a prompt right here. How does the time and place that Marlowe evokes in stanzas 3 through 6 develop a central idea of his poem? Really quickly, evokes, that word means bring to mind or make one think. So how does the time and place that Marlowe brings to mind or creates in stanzas 3 through 6, how does that develop a central idea? If after you do assignment 2, you feel that your central idea that you identified last time and the typecast is still correct and strong enough, you can use that. However, make sure that you're reflecting on that thinking that you guys did and make sure that it is in fact strong enough. If you need to change your central idea, that's absolutely fine. Big hint here. No, we'll talk about that during the Zoom class. Anyway, but you write your quick right here. Just delete that. Write your quick right. Turn it in. Easy. Okay, and then finally, copy of Marlowe's poem. This is just an extra copy. So if for some reason you can't access your annotated copy or whatever the case might be, you just boom, click on that. All right, so that's all the materials that you guys are going to need for week 2. Couple things. Those of you who struggled with accessing assignments, you have access. Okay, I went and I looked. I made sure everyone has copies of everything. Okay, so because Classroom makes them automatically. So if you are struggling with accessing, my number one thing would be to try to get off a phone. Okay, that the app isn't as intuitive as the actual like site. So if you can get on a computer and access them that way, especially if you're having trouble with your phone, I highly recommend that you do that. Okay. Besides having a computer and doing your work on a computer, your quick writes, you'll be able to type them more efficiently anyway. So that's the first thing. Secondly, if you're having trouble, you can't get to a laptop, whatever it might be, there were many people who were able to access. Okay. Ask them, use each other. Okay. I'm doing the best I can from here, but unfortunately I can't be next to you and I can't see what you see on your screens. So there's only so much I could do there. We have to do our work through Classroom. Okay. The reason being, it makes organization a lot easier. You can guarantee that nothing will be lost. The second people start emailing things is when things get lost. Okay. So through Classroom, non-negotiable. If you're having trouble, we can try to address them during the Zoom call tomorrow. Otherwise, ask each other, use each other as resources, or look it up online. Okay, so I think that about covers it for this week. Hopefully that was helpful. I look forward to the Zoom call tomorrow. The Zoom call, just so you guys know, we're gonna keep it pretty simple this week. We're gonna check in on you guys, see how you guys are doing, kind of talk for a little bit, and then I want to go over the learning targets again. I want to go over the work from last week, kind of give some feedback there, kind of highlight a couple people who did a really good job, and then introduce some terms and some ideas about Marlowe's poem that might help you with this work here. Next week, so after his week is done, you guys will have another poem. And you guys will have a discussion board where you guys are going to actively be engaging with each other. So look out for that. But as far as this week goes, you just have those 2 assignments. Please, I do suggest that even though I'm going to post this today, you wait for the Zoom class before you start so that any issues that you may have, we can iron out before you turn things in. All right. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.